Welcome to the Windy City. I've got the stunning Chicago skyline right here behind me, and I'm down here at 31st Street Harbor for the 4th round of the AquaX Pro Enduro Tour. Endurance jet ski racing at its absolute best. Professional riders have been battling it out for the 2018 championship. And last time out in Sarasota, the racing was as fierce as ever, and surprisingly, a little bumpy.
They are side by side.
Oh!
He must be having some issues.
Oh! Brian Baldwin will take the win.
Well, all that drama saw Brian Baldwin win the weekend, but Eric Francis is still at the top of the championship standings, leading the way with 130 points. Baldwin is not far behind though with 116 points, and there's a tie for third with Aero Aswar and last year's series champion Chris McLuggage both on 94 points. Chris Saxon and Arminio Iantasca round out the top 6. Eric Francis has looked fitter than ever this year and has been sticking to a strict training schedule and nutrition plan. With just 2 rounds to go, how does he feel about the possibility of being crowned champion for the very first time?
There's a little bit of pressure, so we're hoping to have the same year we had in Chicago last year and have a pretty dominating performance, because that would give me a nice little relief going into Fort Lauderdale, so we're aiming for that.
Second in the table and just 14 points behind Eric Francis is Brian Baldwin. How does he feel about making up those points here in Chicago this weekend?
Well, you know, it's a 14-point split, and we have 4 motos this weekend. You know, I feel really strong, so I'm pumped. You know, had a good finish in St. Pete, won Sarasota, and that's kind of the way I like to see it going. You know, I like to start in reserve and then just build up and finish with a bang.
Woo! With just 2 rounds to go and 200 points up for grabs, we can't rule out our third place riders. Aero Aswar isn't here this weekend, but Chris McLuggage is, and he's here to battle.
Third, tied with Aero. Aero's not here this weekend. You know, I caught back up to him in points. I'm in third. The breakdown would help me if, with them, a win would help, anything. Just as long as I beat Brian and Eric. Just have to beat those 2. Everybody else is like, so far back it doesn't matter, but I have to win. And those guys will probably be second or third.
So the championship is getting serious, and we've got 4 races to bring you this weekend. So I'll stop the talking and we'll head over to our commentators, Ashley and Mikey, for race 1.
Hey, thanks a lot, Deanna. This weekend's course for round number 4, well, it's going to feature 7 different turns, could be about approximately a mile in length, and with the conditions that we have this weekend, it looks like it's going to be a pretty fast track. Ashley, we just took a look at the course right there. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, we have a 7-buoy course. It's about a mile long.
Yeah, and this year, as we take a look at staging right there, it doesn't look like it's going to be as difficult for these riders, as it's definitely not as choppy.
No, definitely not. This is definitely a smooth start.
Okay, well, speaking of starts, here we go, race start. And on the inside, it looked to be Eric Francis, boat number 911, who actually comes into round number 4 with the points lead as we look through the lenses there of Brian Baldwin, who currently sits in second.
This is good. See, there's a couple Sea-Doos in front here.
Yeah, it looks like Tim Ducat and Erminio Iantosca trying to work to the front of that pack, and Iantosca looks like he's going to settle there in third. So it looks like you've got Francis, Baldwin, and Iantosca 1, 2, and 3 after turn number 1. As we take a look right there, Brian Baldwin still chasing down Eric Francis. As we said, Iantosca settled into that third spot. I believe Ducat right now fighting with McCluggage for that fourth spot.
Yes, it looks a little bit messy there coming into the turn. Everybody up tight.
You know, and I'll tell you, a great start for the Sea-Doos right there as we go back on board here with Erminio Iantosca, who currently sits in third, and I believe he's got one of the new units out there this weekend.
Yeah, it's great to see he got a good start.
Uh-oh, and you can see right now having a little trouble as McCluggage getting past him over there on the right-hand side. So Iantosca slides back to fourth, and McCluggage advances into third place. Now McCluggage coming into this weekend tied with Aero Aswar for that fourth place position overall.
Yeah, and it looked like Eric Francis looking around to see who all's around him to see if he's out in front.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, this guy is always up toward the front. Chris Saxon, number 71, Team 71, out of Orange Beach, Alabama, currently sitting in that fifth spot. As we take a look again at your top three, it's Francis, Baldwin, and McCluggage. And that's pretty much how it looks like here as our points, you know, coming into this weekend, round number 4. And you can see exactly where they're at there on the course. You were talking about it being a mile long, and again, we were talking about the conditions. A lot flatter out there, and you can see these Yamahas staying hooked up.
Yeah, definitely. With these type of conditions, with it smooth, it's definitely much more difficult to make any types of passes and moves. So where you get lined up, usually out the first buoy, you kind of end up staying there. It's really difficult to make something happen in these smoother conditions.
You know, they were just running along one of the rougher sides of the track there where they get a lot of reverb off of that seawall. A lot of the events that we've done here with P1 Aquacross, they don't see a seawall. We normally have a beach, and the beach kind of absorbs those waves, but here you get a lot of kickback.
Yeah, and even though still the conditions are definitely much smoother than they were last year. Last year, the guys took quite a beating, I believe.
Yeah, and you can take a look at the top three there, the distance between them. Baldwin currently sitting in second place. He's about 4 seconds off the pace, being thrown down by Eric Francis. Francis, once again, picking up new sponsorship for 2018 with Broward Motorsports, and he's definitely making his sponsors proud this year.
Yes, he's definitely pulling away from the competition right now.
As you can see him work his way through the chicane on the front section of the course. There's Baldwin again, about 4 seconds off the pace. Now McCluggage trying to reel in Baldwin. The gap between second and third place only about 3 seconds right now. As we take a look at Baldwin going through our start-finish line, he's run very consistent this year. He was the 2017 World Champion, a title which he earned in Key West last year. But he's chasing down Francis, and Francis just got the #1 world overall ranking. Your race leader goes around the Rip It Energy Fuel buoy. That's our new official energy drink here at P1 Aquacross as we go on board with Chris McCluggage. And even though we say it looks pretty calm out there, you can get a feel for what it's like riding out there in this Chicago surf.
Yeah, you can definitely see the skis are bouncing out of the water a good bit, even though it's pretty calm for the conditions on Lake Michigan. A little bounce here and there can definitely toss you if you get tired or you're not paying attention.
Yeah, we're taking a look at the replay there from the start of the race when McCluggage and Francis Baldwin were all able to get around Iantosca. And again, we were talking about the reverb off the wall, but not going to make a difference as Eric Francis will come through the checkered flag in first place. The Eagle has landed here in Chicago.
He's got to be pretty proud of himself. He took the win here last year.
25 more points for Eric Francis as he points to the Green Flight TV drone. Let's take a look at how everything shook out. Francis in first place, Baldwin in second, McCluggage, Daly with his best finish, Iantosca in fifth, and Chris Saxon in sixth.
Eric, seemed like you were a few paces ahead and kind of keeping up on everybody out there. It looked strong. How did you feel at the first race?
I mean, we got a really good start, which, you know, always helps for a good finish. And we set a strong pace. And, I mean, we backed it down a little bit as the race went on just to, you know, make sure the boat's strong for the rest of the weekend. We don't want to tear it up too much. So, I mean, yeah, overall, we were in control and felt really good.
Did you feel like you could get right back out there again and win some more races this weekend?
That was actually my exact words. I was hoping that we could just refuel and go right back in the water. Not everybody was too keen on that, but, you know, I like the idea.
increased his points lead on the first race, but we've still got 3 more to go this weekend. Welcome back to Chicago, home of the Bears, and this weekend, home to the Hotel Planner P1 Aquacross Pro Enduro Tour. Just a couple weekends ago, down the road in Indiana, the Whiting Aquacross Pro-Am was a great opportunity for the amateur riders to take a few tips from the pros. And the city of Whiting really gets behind the event.
The City of Whiting really values our partnership with P1 Aquacross, and what it's done is it's brought a watercraft sporting event to the lakefront, and that brings visitors in from out of town to experience everything else that's here in our business district. So we welcome everybody to the city and hope you enjoy your time here.
Yeah, so this weekend is a Pro-Am event where you have some really fast pros along with some really fast amateur guys. So it's cool, you know. It lets the amateur guys see how they stack up against the pros.
You know, the Pro-Am series, to me it's really cool because I grew up watching these guys race literally since I was like 4 years old. So it's really cool for me to be able to be out there with them, and it's definitely a next level up in competition. They're just really good, really solid, and it's really fun, you know.
We're all on equal boats up here, which are amateur boats, and it just gives you that ability to battle out with some of the top pros in the world and just see how you stand as an amateur racing in a pro class.
It's awesome to race against some of the professionals that you kind of watch and admire, and trying to see how you're doing against them up in this series.
And all the pressure's on us, you know, on the pro guys, because we're supposed to be out there winning this. So yeah, it's a real interesting event, unique on the tour where amateurs and pros race against each other.
Been racing ski class, also Pro-Am ski stock and the Can-Am tour. I'm just making a switch over to P1. The skis are a lot bigger, horsepower difference, the handling is completely different. So you're working a lot of different muscles, and the riding technique is completely different than if you were on the a stand-up class.
The
This is Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is freshwater lake. We're used to racing in saltwater. Saltwater has different handling characteristics on the boat.
The difference between here and the ocean water, you know what, if you were just put you out there and race, you couldn't really tell the difference at times because the Great Lakes provide some really ocean-like type of environment. You have rollers, it's just rough for the most part, just generally is rough. Occasionally see it flat in the ocean, but it provides a great racing atmosphere for us.
Water-wise, they both get pretty, I call it like washing machine where the waves are going back and forth, but yesterday morning when it was pretty windy here, there were some pretty big rollers coming in that we're having to hop.
Fairly the same. We don't have to make too many changes, just get out there and battle for 30 minutes.
It's always nice to go give it your all and finish off and do the best that you can, right?
Amateur class is easy to get into if you haven't raced or if you've only raced closed course. Just basically you can buy a ski and just a few little modifications, you're out there racing and being competitive. And if you do good, you can move up to pro and run with the big boys.
The transition has been really smooth. It's really laid out really well. The communication's right there. So for anybody who wants to give it a shot, it's really easy to kind of step in and get out there and run some laps.
The conditions this weekend on Lake Michigan are a bit rougher, but that's how our pros like it. It really separates the men from the boys. Now, Francis was triumphant in race 1, but can he do it again in race 2? Let's head over to Ashley and Mikey to find out.
Thanks, Deanna. Here we are at the start, and we are on board with Baldwin and taking a look over at the pole position number 1 at Francis.
Yeah, it looks like they're just about ready to go here as the green flag getting ready to drop. And there we go. We are off and away. The start of race number 2. Can Francis do it again? He is starting from pole position. So, Ashley, he does have the advantage headed into this first turn.
Yes, he does. And it looks like pretty clean water. You got a little bit of swells coming in, so it's chopped up a tiny bit. Oh, look there. It looks like Iantosca on the outside there.
Yeah, there was a great overhead shot there. You can see Baldwin going about 70 miles per hour, which is a lot faster than the last track in Sarasota, where the top speeds were hovering around 62, 63 mile per hour.
Oh, this is great to see. Iantosca out front. He's been battling quite a bit this season, taking a lot of collisions and hits in past races.
Well, it's Iantosca, Francis, and Baldwin once the jet spray clears here after turn number 1. As we take a look at your points leader, Eric Francis. Francis has had a stellar year this year with Broward Motorsports, and they have really taken him under his wing. And you can see not only the training coming into play here, but that great sponsorship is helping him out as well.
Yeah, definitely. And here on board with McCluggage, everyone is definitely surprised by this, and they are on the hunt for Iantosca.
Yeah, and taking a look out McCluggage's rear view right there, you can see just how rough it gets once we get that many boats out there and the water starts to churn up here in Lake Michigan.
Those buoys are enormous. These guys are flying right by them.
Well, I'll tell you, look at this battle heating up for third place. That's McCluggage working to the inside of Baldwin right now, and you can see Baldwin crossing over McCluggage's wake, trying to retain that third place position. Wow, what a battle.
It definitely is close, and Iantosca is probably feeling the heat.
Well, I'll tell you, no heat right there for that guy out in front, 94. That is Iantosca looking for a great finish here for Sea-Doo as we go back on board with McCluggage, and you can see just how tight he and Baldwin are. It's still Francis back there in second place behind Iantosca. Baldwin winning that battle between he and McCluggage for that third place, but McCluggage like a bad rash. He just won't go away.
And it looks like Francis here closing the gap here pretty quickly.
Yeah, Baldwin and Francis both closing that gap on our Sea-Doo pilot out there, Arminio Iantosca. Iantosca with one of his best starts here at the 2018 season as he remains out in front.
Arminio does fantastic when he gets the whole shot and can stay out front. He definitely is one of the better riders from that standpoint.
Uh-oh, look out. He's got company now. Francis working them as you can see exactly where we're at on the track right there. And Francis is going to pick and choose. You know, Francis is one of those very sneaky riders, and he's going to find out where the best place to pass is out on the track. Again, taking a look at McCluggage, speeds of 71 mile per hour here on the track today.
That's impressive. Hitting the water at 70 miles an hour is like hitting concrete. So these guys have to be very strategic about the moves they make.
You know, and not only you think about the speeds that they're going, but you got to remember, man, these things don't have any brakes, and you've got about 15 of your best friends out there with you.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of competition, and they have no problem letting you go swimming at this point.
And you can see our top 4 right there, all within striking distance, as we're only about halfway through this one. Back on board with Brian Baldwin, and you're taking a look through his lenses. He's got Francis over there to his left, and of course Ian Tosca directly out in front of him.
You know, these boys are hungry. They are definitely closing in. Ian Tosca is feeling the heat. He's got to make sure keeps focused.
And I'll tell you, it looks like Baldwin reeled them in slowly but surely too. Top 3 starting to separate now from the rest of the pack. McCluggage about 4 seconds off of the back side of third place Baldwin. And look at this battle coming into the turn. Brian Baldwin going to be to the Francis able to get by, and it looked like
wow, it looked like he parked it, but that's amazing. It looked like he stayed on his boat.
Yeah, the handling of them Sea-Doos, it looked like Ian Tosca was really trying to carve that turn in, and Baldwin just kind of slid into him.
Yeah, Sea-Doos are known for being able to make tight turns, and the Yamaha just probably slid out a little bit more and T-boned him.
Well, I'll tell you what, either way, that's good news for Eric Francis. Francis still out in front. Now, Ian Tosca was able to recover and maintain that second place position with Baldwin still back in third.
Francis is right where he wants to be now, and he's going to walk away from his competition.
That's Francis's teammate from Broward Motorsports, Chris McCluggage. McCluggage again with the pole in the water, trying to reel in Baldwin and Ian Tosca. That's your battle for third place still between McCluggage and Baldwin, and these guys have been battling it out for quite some time now in this one.
Ian Tosca took quite a hit back there. It'll be tough to see if his boat holds on to this race.
Well, Ashley, let's take a look at the replay through Eric Francis's lenses this time. And you can see Francis was able to work to the inside right here of Ian Tosca. He is able to get past, and right there is when Baldwin collided into Ian Tosca. But Eric Francis alone out in front right now. He is the benefactor.
And that is a characteristic move for Francis. He waits for the strategic time to take over the lead.
Well, again, we still have Francis, Ian Tosca, Baldwin, 1, 2, and 3 right now. As we head into the latter stages here of race number 2, Francis, again, working on that points lead. If he stays where he's at, he gets another 25 points, and he's really going to almost take it out of contention for everybody else to take this national title here for P1 Aquacross. As we take a look at Baldwin still chasing down Ian Tosca. As we take a look, great overhead shot from our camera. Great drone footage this weekend, and you can see all of our racers coming down that front straightaway. You can see 1, 2, 3. The top 3 again starting to separate from the rest of the pack. Now going on board with Christian Daly. And Christian's one of our rookies this year and comes from a racing family.
He has done exceptional this year. Visit St. Pete Clearwater was clearly impressed with him to pick him up as his new sponsor.
Back out to Eric Francis, who is really starting to extend that lead over Ian Tosca. But Ian Tosca, not much of a gap there between he and third place Baldwin as we go back on board with Baldwin. And you can see slowly but surely, Baldwin kissing that buoy right there.
Oh, that's impressive. He stayed on.
Yeah, he had to take a look back and make sure that he didn't take it all the way out. Again, taking a look down that straightaway there on the front section of the course here at 31st Street Harbor. Great view of Lake Michigan with the skyline in the background.
And these guys, you can tell they're trying to be strategic with their perfect lines. They're carrying a lot of speed, and they cannot afford to hit any wake that they're not anticipating because they could be pitched off pretty easily.
Again, taking a look in the rearview mirror there for McCluggage. And you can tell, Ashley, not too much going on back there. You still got Christian Daly in the 5th spot and Chris Saxon, the rookie, in 6th.
Actually, you can see Francis bobbling around there a little bit. It's definitely choppier than it appears.
You know, at 30 minutes plus a lap, that is a lot of time. As you see Baldwin now trying to work on Ian Tosca. He'll work to the inside.
Oh.
What a battle, and here comes Ian Tosca trying to goose that throttle, but nothing doing.
Oh, yeah, he's moving back to get into the clean water now that the ski in front of him is made.
And you got to wonder if that collision between he and Baldwin knocked anything loose in that new Sea-Doo.
I would be surprised if it didn't. I mean, that was a tough hit.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty hard collision there. Now looks like Ian Tosca having problems with McCluggage. McCluggage working to the inside now, so McCluggage moving up into that third place. Ian Tosca sliding back to fourth. Back on board with your leader, Eric Francis, as tick-tock goes the clock, and we are almost done with this one. You can see he's taking a look around to see exactly where he's at out on the track, and looks like he is getting ready to put her in cruise control, Ashley.
Yeah, he looks good and strong. He's still maneuvering and hovering a good bit.
There we go. The checkered flag is out, and again, 2 for 2 here in Chicago. Let's take a look at the top 6 here in race number 2. The usual suspects out in front, Francis, Baldwin, and McCluggage. Christian Daly, rookie, riding very consistent. Anthony Radetich on the Sea-Doo in 5th, and Sophie Francis getting her best finish in 6th.
We had 2 pretty much perfect motos. I mean, came out first and won the first moto, came out second in the second moto, and ended up getting out front and had a good run. So, yeah, I mean, we feel pretty confident going in tomorrow. We got a good points lead and looking real good for the overall.
2 races and 2 wins. Does Francis have one hand on the trophy? Find out after the break. Hotel Planner AquaX Pro Tour is in full swing here, and one rider taking the series by storm is number 105 riding the 202 boat, Christian Daly. He only joined pro this year and is already 8th in the standings, and he's having a great weekend here in Chicago. So what's it going to take to be on the top of the podium and maybe even look at a series championship one day?
So what it's going to take is being on a legitimate pro boat, probably. I'd really like to have some of the power that they have. Then the other part of that too is to learn from them. I mean, they are the sport. They are the best in this P1 AquaX sport. And so it's great to be able to talk to Eric, talk to Mac, talk to all those top guys. After the races, they come up to me and they're like, "Hey man, you did great out there. This is where you could work on something." And I'm like, "Perfect." So it's awesome to have the ability to learn from the pros, and I think if I carry that into next season, we could be looking for a top 3 or potentially a win. So.
Great to see a rookie working his way to the top. Let's see how he does in race 3 as we head over to our commentators, Ashley and Mikey.
Hey, thanks Deanna. Thanks for keeping us informed down there in the pits. Ashley, we're looking at our start.
And we're on board with Francis. Here, and it looks like a pretty clean start. Everyone's a good straight line, and they're off.
There we go. Green flag drops, and again, a great shot there of all our competitors here. This is race number 3, P1 AquaCross. Again, the Chicago skyline in the background, and you're looking through the lenses of Brian Baldwin.
It's a pretty tight pack here going into the first turn.
And it looks like Francis going to grab that hole shot just in front of McCluggage as you take a look through the GoPro there mounted on McCluggage's helmet. Again, it's the Broward Motorsports dynamic duo going 1 and 2 here at the start.
The starts are definitely pretty hairy. This is where you have to have no intimidation whatsoever because everyone is holding onto the throttle. You can't hesitate or else you're going to get run over.
Now we're looking through the lenses here of Chris Saxon. Chris currently in that 6th place position as you see how tight 1 and 2 are as they work their way around that sweeper on the top left-hand side of the track. We got Francis, McCluggage, and Baldwin 1, 2, and 3 right now. 3 of your usual suspects out in front. Baldwin this year picking up sponsorship from Riva Racing. He is their factory racer. As we take a look at your points leader coming into the weekend, and he has been stellar all weekend long, that is Eric Francis. Cody Tetro, also on that Broward Motorsports team, running currently in the 5th place position. I'm sure Sam Nemi and company would like to see 3 Broward Motorsports boats in the top 5.
And it looks like here we have Saxon taking over Timmy Ducat.
Yeah, nice battle there going on with Ducat. Sea-Doo and Yamaha going bond rail to bond rail right there. And taking a look again behind Eric Francis, currently sitting in 1st place, but you can see McCluggage flanked right there to his right. Uh-oh, McCluggage able to get by.
Wow, that was one heck of a pass.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it throws a little roost up there.
Yes, indeed. He got water assaulted for sure.
Yeah, just in case you didn't have any breakfast. You got McCluggage, Francis, and Baldwin. So again, the Broward Motorsports team still running 1 and 2, just a little switch. As your top 2 head around our hotelplanner.com buoy. Still top 3, no changes. As we take a look at Arminio Ian-Tosca, one thing we notice here in race number 3, Ian-Tosca not on his normal boat.
No, it looks like a loaner from Anthony Raditich.
And Ian-Tosca goes a lap down there. You just see McCluggage get past him. So now we've got a couple lapped riders in between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. You can see exactly where McCluggage, your race leader, is out on the track. As we take a look at Baldwin. Baldwin just now getting passed by Daly. Boat number 202, Christian Daly, who has had 2 4s in the opening 2 races here, is now in 3rd place. And I'll tell you what, this kid's got a bright future in front of him.
Yeah, yes, he does. And he's in a tight spot right now, getting sprayed with water. It's hard to negotiate with Francis right in front of you.
Once again, as you had mentioned earlier, picking up some great sponsorship from Visit St. Pete Clearwater. Oh, and look at that. Brian Baldwin again. That's his 2nd kiss with a buoy.
Yeah, I don't know what he's got going on.
I don't know if that buoy's a kissing booth or what. Crazy stuff happening with Brian Baldwin out there. Great shot of the entire track there with the skyline in the background. Beautiful place to race here, 31st Street Harbor in Chicago.
It's definitely changing climate for these guys from the warm Florida waters.
As we take a look at your race leader, Chris McCluggage. McCluggage, we talked about him being sponsored by Broward, but he's also sponsored by Monster Energy. And you can see Anthony Raditich, which is right beside him right now. Anthony is actually a lap down, boat number 153, and he's sponsored by Ripid Energy Fuel. Looks like 202 Daly challenging Francis for that 2nd place position. As we take a look at our leaders, and you can see again exactly where they are by our course locator. It's still McCluggage out in front, but he's got company right now.
Yeah, yes, he does. Let's see. It looks like Eric Francis. Oh,
yeah.
He's looking for a strategic time to pass.
Exactly, and McCluggage not leaving that door open, but here comes Francis. Francis working to the inside, and Francis, you can see McCluggage kind of wave him on, and it looks like his boat may have went into limp mode.
Yeah, maybe, but Francis isn't waiting for anyone.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you could tell how much he decelerated as Francis was able to go by. Let's see if he can hold on to it here. So Francis goes back out in front. Couple lead switches here. You still got McCluggage in 2nd and Daly back there in 3rd with Baldwin chasing him. as we go back on board with Chris McCluggage still holding on to that second place position. You can see going only about 38, 40 mile per hour, and he was going 71 earlier in race number 2.
Yes, they're starting to have a washing machine chop effect where it's just wearing these guys out.
Well, I know that the team has been having problems with their injector wires here this weekend. Hopefully they can get that figured out.
Yeah, the constant bouncing and pounding on these machines, it's rough on them, and you have mechanical issues quite often.
Well, we're going on to the last lap now with Eric Francis, and I'll tell you, the Eagle is riding stellar here. Again, he hails from West Palm Beach, Florida. He's been racing now for over 15 years, and he is current points leader here with AquaX. He's the world points leader and has taken 2 wins so far this weekend. Can anybody stop him, Ashley?
I don't know. They're in the hunt for him, but he is looking amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he trains like a beast on the off season, and it really shows here while he's getting it done here during the 2018 P1 AquaX campaign. Just a couple more buoys to negotiate before this one is in the books.
Yeah, he and Sophie Francis make a great team training together.
And there we go, the checkered flag is out. And another 1-2 finish for the Broward Motorsports team with Eric Francis coming through on top, McCluggage in second. Let's take a look at the points here for race number 3. Francis, McCluggage, and Daly, 1, 2, and 3. Brian Baldwin, Chris Saxon, 4 and 5. And Brad Rickaby out of England took your 6th place position.
Chris and I got out to an amazing start, thanks to our Broward Motorsport Dean's Team GP 1800s, but I think we were pushing a little too hard. Boat possibly could have went into limp mode, so that's when Chris got by me and let the boat cool off, and then in the interim, I think Chris broke an injector wire, which then gave me the advantage to come back and take the lead, and at that point, everybody was basically having issues, so I just kind of stayed out front and kept a cool pace and saving everything for Moto 4.
One of the wires broke on the fuel injector. We got some better parts for it. We're going to fix it before the moto and get back out there. We're going to go into it, full steam and just, like a bull in a china shop, we're going to wreck the place.
While Brian fixes up his boat for the final race, we'll take a short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to Chicago and the P1 AquaX Pro Enduro Tour, which is now in its 6th year here in the USA, but it actually started in Europe, and I'm here with P1 CEO Azam Rangunwala, who will tell us a little bit about what's been happening across the pond this season.
P1 AquaX really started in the UK in 2012, but actually in 2013 when we started off in Florida and Daytona Beach, that's when it really took off. So we went from Daytona Beach, and the race after that was actually St. Cloud-Kissimmee. And the Kissimmee relationship has really helped propel our series across in Europe. There's so many people traveling from Florida to here, as well as from Florida to Europe. So right now in Europe, Kissimmee has really got behind the team there. So you have all different elements of aquacross within that team. You've got Joe Harvey, who's racing in Pro Enduro, and he's got a really good following. On top of that, you've got Ryan Willows, who's on a Spark, and then you've got Harry Robinson, who's on a stand-up, that's in the sprint category. And it's exciting to see the different types of racing. We had some really good racing in Minehead over there. We raced in Switzerland, in Le Bouvray with Jet Cross. So Jet Cross is purely stand-up racing, and Experience Kissimmee got really behind that. And it's great because it really links both of the series together. So here in the US, that's where the powerhouse is for P1 right now, which is why you see some big teams here like Broward Motorsports and Riva, whereas in Europe, you've got Team Experience Kissimmee. You're going to get some other teams popping up there, and the Americans better watch out in the next World Championship.
I feel really good this weekend. Eric's riding exceptionally well. I feel I'm riding pretty good as well too. So yes, there's no reason why I can't. I'm sure Eric's going to push it hard, but who knows how hard he's going to push it. He probably doesn't want to fall off, and he's already got a significant points lead for the weekend. So there's no reason for him to push too hard. So I'm going to push him hard.
Sounds like McCluggage is pumped for the final race of the weekend. Let's head over to our commentators, Ashley and Mikey.
Hey, thanks, Deanna. As we take a look here, Brian Baldwin getting ready for this 4th and final race of the weekend. And Ashley, let's talk a little bit about our start.
Well, we're on board with Baldwin, and it looks like Saxon crossing over.
Yeah, there we go. The green flag drops, and Saxon really stealing that line away from Baldwin. As you take a look at Baldwin, a fairly calm weekend out here. It's a little bit rough. And look at this. It looks like Baldwin now coming over across Christian Daly.
And according to the rules, you're supposed to allow at least 2 boat lengths between you and the guy you're trying to cross over.
Well, 2 Broward Motorsports guys again going for that hole shot, and it looks like it's going to be McCluggage as we go to our overhead shot. McCluggage followed by Francis into the first turn.
And it looked like Sophie Francis there had a good start as well to the first turn.
Yeah, Sophie Francis right there side by side with Christian Daly. And here comes Baldwin on the outside of Daly right now, and that is your battle for 3rd spot. It's going to be Mac, Francis, and Baldwin once the jet spray clears. And take a look, there's Sophie Francis on the outside. Easy to pick out with that blue Yamaha.
She's doing fantastic, looks very confident in this race.
Back on board with your race leader, Chris McCluggage, and that's the view from up front right now, that Monster Energy Yamaha. Dean Cherrier spinning the wrenches, and obviously he's done a great job this weekend as those guys have been on top all weekend long.
Yeah, they were moving. As we were seeing, they were doing around 70 miles an hour.
Brian Baldwin currently sitting in that 3rd place. You can see the top 2 just in front of Baldwin. And Baldwin, I'll tell you what, he's another one of those riders that are just very, very consistent. And you can see the gap that McCluggage is opening up against Francis already, and that's his strategy. He wants to get so far out in front that everybody runs out of juice before that 30 minutes comes up.
He's very good at embarrassing all the riders. Sometimes he'll double lap the entire field. So he does that very well.
Well, I think he's going to have a hard time embarrassing Francis this weekend as we take a look at the battle here. Again, this is your battle for 4th place, Christian Daly and Chris Saxon going at it. Once again, Chris Saxon, the 2017 Rookie of the Year. 2018 Rookie of the Year, still up in the air, but Christian Daly's looking for it.
And right behind him, it looks like Sophie Francis, followed by Timmy Ducat on Sea-Doo.
Yeah, Sophie Francis, another one that could be up for that Rookie of the Year. She's turned in some really good finishes here in Chicago.
She's been doing excellent. She's confident and consistent. That's important. You have to finish the race to win.
Well, and she's got a good training partner, too, in her husband, Eric Francis, who is, again, the world points leader and current national points leader coming into round number 4.
And speaking of her mentor, training partner,
yeah, Eric Francis still in 2nd place, trying to reel in McCluggage here. Again, great view from the west side of our track. Chris Saxon still battling it out with Christian Daly. Man, they're having one heck of a battle, and this is for that 4th place position. These two really going head to head here in our 4th race of the weekend. Not bothering your race leader, though, Chris McCluggage, originally from Naples, Florida, now lives over on the east coast of Florida in Jupiter, still maintaining that lead over his teammate Francis and Riva Racing's Brian Baldwin.
Yeah, Francis is chasing him down. He's doing some high speeds here.
Yeah, we were taking a look at some of the speeds, the average speed here. Top speed has been right about 71. I haven't seen anybody pass that 71 mile per hour barrier. Taking a look at 3rd place, this is still Brian Baldwin. Baldwin out of Catawba, North Carolina. Has over a couple decades of racing experience and one of the top racers here in P1 Aquacross. Again, winning that world title, but he's chasing the national title this year. Currently sitting 2nd to points overall. And you can see the gap there between 1st and 2nd place. Only about 7 to 8 seconds between 1st and 3rd, so Francis still right there. And is he closing the gap, do you think, Ashley?
Wow, it looks like it is definitely closing in.
Yeah, because McCluggage looked like he had pulled away. He had over a 10-second lead a little bit earlier in the race, and now you can see Francis coming right into the picture there. Baldwin's still in that 3rd place position as well. So 1, 2, and 3, again, starting to separate from the rest of the pack. Roughest part of the course there as they run alongside the seawall, but doesn't seem to have any effect on your race leaders. And there is Sophie Francis again, and look at the guns on that girl.
She is doing great. She's definitely keeping up with them with no problem.
And back to her husband, Eric Francis, still running in that 2nd place position, trying to chase down McCluggage, and he was able to do it in race number 3. Can he do it again here in race number 4, or does McCluggage have a little chip on his shoulder for the younger counterpart?
Well, we're going to see. We'll see if the boats hold together, if they have any mechanical issues. Francis will take advantage of absolutely any kind of error that he may make.
Well, again, that's right. Wait for a slip, trip, or a bobble. As you can see, Francis trying to chase him down, but Mac riding very smooth there along the back section of the course. And when he gets out in front, unless there's a mechanical issue, it is really hard to get by number 46. And we were just talking about mistakes.
We go. Yep.
We were just talking about mistakes. McCluggage running into that buoy right there. Hand comes off of the bars. Doesn't mess with his position, though, at this point. But I'll tell you what, it's got to mess with him mentally.
Yes, it's very tough to hang on. Those are extremely heavy buoys when they hit you. Most people fly off.
Let's go back, take a look at the replay, and you can see just how hard he hits. You can see he's coming into it, gets a little sideways, and boom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's some serious strength.
I'll tell you what, a lesser man would have been skipping like a sandstone through Lake Michigan.
Absolutely, cartwheels and all.
All right, let's go back on board here with Mac, and you'll see it in slow-mo. Again, comes right into that buoy, loses his grip on the bars, but again, able to hold on. A lot of strength, a lot of training went into that right there.
So unfortunately now he's going to have to take a penalty buoy, and if he does not, then he gets docked some time.
Well, I'm sure that Mac is smart enough to take that penalty buoy again. About 3 decades of racing for that kid right there. Looks like he might have an electrical issue as the boat just kind of shut off on him. He's going to swing back around, but not before Francis and Baldwin can overtake 1st and 2nd place.
Yeah, it looked like he lost steering.
Wow. And let's take a look at the replay again as he goes a little sideways there, and you can see the leaders going 1 and 2 right around.
That's really unfortunate it happened when it did this late in the race.
Yeah, tough break there for the back attack with only a couple more buoys to negotiate for his teammate Eric Francis. Francis getting a gift here, if you will.
Yep, and just like I was saying earlier, it's all about not making any errors or else you get passed.
Well, one final time down that front straightaway, he looks over, the checkered flag comes out, and congratulations, 4 for 4. What a weekend in Chicago for Eric Francis and Broward Motorsports. Let's take a look at the points right now. It was Francis in front, Baldwin, McCluggage, Christian Daly with another 4th place finish, Saxon in 5th, and Sophie Francis with another 6th.
Winning 4 motos against these guys isn't easy. Then they push the pace really hard. I mean, that last race, we had a 1:06 lap time, which is the fastest of the weekend. I feel really confident going to Fort Lauderdale. We don't have a lot of pressure going in. We got a good points lead. As long as we go smart, we got the best team, the best boat, we're going to win.
And here's the points totals for the weekend. 100 points for Eric Francis. Baldwin was 75, McCluggage was 71, Christian Daly took home 62, Chris Saxon with 52, and Brad Rickaby with 51.
You know, we need to do some boat maintenance. You know, make sure that thing is ready for the last round, because we're gonna give it everything we have.
After 4 rounds, this is how we stack up here in the P1 Aquacross USA Championship. Eric Francis with 230, Baldwin with 191, McCluggage with 165, Chris Saxon with 115, Daly with 110, and Aero Aswar with 94.
Out here in the Windy City, the pros did what they do best and raced hard all weekend. But it was the Eagle Eric Francis who took all 4 race wins, the top spot of the podium, and all the glory. We've got one more round to figure out who the series champion will be. We'll see you next time in Fort Lauderdale.